For public comments, online attendees, please sign up using the Q&A button at the bottom of your bottom center of your Zoom screen. Phone-in attendees, please dial *9 to raise your hand. In-person attendees may fill out a speaker card at the back of the room and hand it off to a staff member. Mr. Chair, you may now call this meeting to order.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call the 513th joint meeting of the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy and the Santa Monica Mountains Advisory Committee to order. And if I can, we have a flag here, but I'm going to go ahead and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can please stand, place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. On to our land acknowledgements. The Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy holds lands that originally and are still inhabited by the Fernandino, Batavian, Gabrielino Tongva, and Ventureño.
Mr. Chair, we're having a hard time with the audio at the River Center at the moment. Dustin, is there anything we
Can you hear me?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, sorry. It was in the middle of the land acknowledgement here, so we'll do that again. The Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy holds lands that are originally and still are inhabited by the Fernandino, Tatavian, Gabrielino Tongva, and Ventureño Chumash. We honor and respect their elders and descendants as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. Next, we have an administration for an oath of office for new members. If I can please ask Mr. Will Garand, who's representing the city of Thousand Oaks on the advisory committee. Joe.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. And the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely. That I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And I will well and faithfully discharge. That I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to. The duties upon which I'm about to.
Okay, welcome. We heard that faintly because we didn't use your mics there, but we're going to assume that went appropriately and perfectly. So welcome aboard. Next, we'll do a roll call of the Conservancy.
Ms. Bochco, Ms. Hutzel, Mr. Torres, Mr. Gorell.
Here.
Ms. Lyle.
Here.
Mr. Luna. Ms. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Fink. Ms. Munoz. Mr. Ortega.
Here.
Ms. Pavley.
Here.
Mr. Veras.
Here.
All is present.
Thank you. Next, roll call for advisory committee.
James, you please call the advisory committee.
Ms. Acker. Ms. Anderson. Ms. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Cacciati.
Here.
Mr. Corridori.
Here.
Mr. Dennert.
Here.
Ms. Dransfeld. Ms. Fossen.
Here.
Mr. Garand.
Here.
Ms. James. Mr. Kishpa. Mr. Kraut.
Here.
Mr. Lang. Here. Ms. Lopez. Mr. Manukyan. Ms. Maikos.
Present.
Ms. Nelson.
Here.
Mr. Ordubegyan. Ms. Rosen.
Here.
Mr. Rossman. Ms. Stevens. Mr. Wendler. Mr. Yakparian. Ms. Newsom.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Okay, thank you. Would any legislative participants or their staff please introduce themselves at this point?
Declan Floyd with Assemblymember HEREBY. Great to see everybody.
Thank you, Declan.
With Assemblymember Jack Irwin.
Okay. Thank you both. Anyone else? Thank you always for joining us. Next, we'll move on to reports. Since we're having a very quick meeting from our last meeting, we're going to probably move through many of these quickly. So let me jump into the Coastal Commission report. Do we have one?
No, sir.
Okay, Coastal Conservancy report.
No, sir.
Attorney General's report.
Nothing today. Thank you.
Okay, National Park Service report.
Yeah, just a couple things. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to just give a few updates. One fun event that's coming up this Saturday that I just wanted people to know about. No, actually, this is the Bark Ranger program that we are leading to teach people about dog safety and hiking with dogs. And so Saturday morning from 9 to noon at Rancho Sierra Vista at Satwewa, you can bring your dog and have them sworn in as a Bark Ranger. You'll learn everything you need to know that day at the event. And there'll be every 30 minutes, there'll be ranger guided hikes to take dogs out on the trail and learn about dog safety. Wanted to promote that our official philanthropic nonprofit partner, the Santa Monica Mountains Fund, is being honored this Friday night as the nonprofit of the year by the Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce. And so that's a really nice honor, and I'm looking forward to going to that event. And then lastly, I just wanted to let people know that since we were at our last meeting, the Park Service did hold a wildland fire, we call it an academy, although that sort of oversells it a little bit. It's the introductory training for wildland firefighters, and we trained 16 new National Park Service employees to be line fire fighters, both from Santa Monica Mountains and Channel Islands. And we hadn't held a course like that in a couple of years, and so it was really nice to bring that back and get people trained. So thanks. That's it for the National Park Service.
Okay, thank you. We'll know for the record that Tim Windler's joined us here at the River Center.
Thank you. And also Miss Acker has arrived.
Great, thank you. Next, we'll go to State Parks report.
No report.
Okay, we have Forest Service report.
No report.
Okay, Executive Director's report.
Mr. Chairman and members, we've declared this to be all Malibu, all the time summer. It's going to be a reopening of the parks in Malibu. And we expect to work with the city of Malibu folks and all of our partners to make sure that people have a safe and happy experience. So we're going to be reallocating a lot of resources toward that end. We also are thinking about our good friends in Sacramento, and this is the time when everybody in state government has sweaty palms because the state May revise comes out in a couple of days, and we'll know how the Department of Finance thinks our future is going to be. So if they think it's a good future, we're all for them. If not, we're going to be talking to our legislators about that fact. So that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Next is the Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you all received a copy of the MRCA report, I'm just going to briefly mention under Fire Division, the second paragraph. We did a final inspection. That's our Fire Chief, Ken Nelson. We did a final inspection of 3 new Type 3 engines ordered in 2020. Wow, what a lead time that is. They are wonderful, and they will be in our driveway by the end of May. So Ken Nelson, if they're not, we're going to hold your feet to the fire. Literally. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, George.
Or we have a request to remind everyone to please speak into the microphone.
Was I
Next.
speaking, Mike?
I think maybe they had a hard time hearing you. So if you can hear yourself, then they can hear you.
Okay. Next is the Santa Clarita Watershed Recreation and Conservation Authority report.
Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. The Wildlife Corridor Conservation Authority report.
No report. No report.
Okay. Moore Park Water Shed Parks Recreation and Conservation Authority report.
No report this evening.
Thank you. Or reports by staff, Joe?
No report.
Questions to staff?
Miss Wendy Sue Rosen has a question.
I'm sure that, well, maybe, I'm not so sure. There've been a bunch of reports that have come out in the news about the soil from the fire retardant that's been dropped. And I'm wondering if we are testing our soil, if we're concerned about our soil. Can we just talk about fire recovery and our soil?
I'm gonna refer that one to Rory. Do we have any information about that?
In terms of check?
Well, there's been lead and other metals that have been found in the soils that are being tested in the fire area and also in areas like mine where phosgene was dropped. They're testing the soil and finding lead, and I'm just wondering in the Santa
I
Monica
don't think
Mountains.
there's lead in check. It's mainly a phosphate formulation. But we did have the soil tested at Temescal Gateway Park, which had a burn, but we haven't done widespread soil tests. That would be a pretty massive effort to do a really good scientific sampling of all the acres.
Well, and I'm sure there's a different response if people are rebuilding than landscape,
Yeah.
you know, than wildlands coming back. And I just wondered if you could just talk about that a little bit. Do we worry that the soil's contaminated? Are things coming back? You know, or is there a concern about stuff washing down into the watershed?
I think that's an EPA and DTSC question. Have not heard of any particular testing that's going on by those entities. I think it's going to be a case by case for properties.
Well, the Los Angeles Times had a story a couple of days ago about that. I don't think it was about the fire retardant so much as the effect of having basically Hiroshima thermal values brushing down on everybody's house. Who knows what that will produce. And I think the concern of the Times article was that while there has been some superficial testing, the testing that they did after the tests found that a certain percentage, I think it was around 20% of the remaining properties still had higher than appropriate values. And the question was, are those going to be secondarily tested? And that's a policy question way beyond our competence.
No, I understand. I guess that article, because my house had a lot of fire retardant dropped on it, and there's still a lot of fire retardant in the Santa Monica Mountains areas. I just wondered if there was any impact or if we're seeing any concern. Is stuff budding? There were some rains. I just wondered, it just made me think like, should we be looking at our soil or are we not concerned? Are there still things with red phosgene on them? I don't know what's in it. Are we seeing stuff? I mean, it looks to me like the hillsides are starting to come back. And I just wondered if you have any information about how things are going post-fire.
I don't think we're familiar with any residual adverse effects of phosgene other than, purple all over our mountains. But we'll get back to you with if there's anything that we can research on that.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comments or questions on matters not on the agenda?
Mr. Chair, if I may, this is Jeff Gorell. Unless it's going to cause a disruption, I would respectfully ask that item 11H be moved on the agenda up because we have, it looks like a speaker here for item 11H. And it might be helpful to hear that first if it's not an inconvenience.
Okay. I have no issues with that. I'd perhaps call for any public comments on 11H to occur first, and then we can certainly take that item, or unless there's the ability to wait for all public comments. Please advise. I don't know who's in the audience there, and I would obviously love to have the public comments being able to take place before agenda approvals.
I think, Mr. Chair, we can take all the public comments first and then move on to 11H. That's, I think.
As the first item. Yeah. Okay. And then, Mr. Grohl, please advise if we have to do that quickly. We can just do the 11H request for comments there.
No, I probably took this out of order. I'm used to seeing an agenda item that allows the members to make, to approve the agenda and to maybe move or remove things from the agenda. It doesn't exist on the agenda as an item. So I probably jumped in here prematurely. But we can go, directly to public comment, not on items on the agenda. The speaker that's here is specifically for 11H.
Okay, great, great. We can definitely accommodate that. Okay. Are there any other member comments? We'll note that for Mr. Guerrero. Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none. Let me, this is comments from members of the public for items not on the agenda and public testimony, but we will take 11H first. But let me go ahead and read the instructions for all members of the public here. If you're online and you haven't submitted your name in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, please do so now. Online attendees, sign up using the Q&A button at the bottom center of your Zoom screen. Phone-in only attendees, dial *9 to raise your hand. And in-person attendees at both locations, please fill out a speaker card at the back of the room and hand it to the designated staff member. Individuals will have 3 minutes to speak, while those representing organizations will have 5, and staff will notify you when you have 1 minute left. I know we have one over at the Riverside, so let's I'm sorry, at King Gillette Ranch. Let's jump over there to allow that member of the public to speak.
Mr. Chair, would you be kind enough to repeat the instructions in Spanish for any online public speaker that needs it in Spanish?
Sure. Do we want to have a translation service to it, or?
We're having technical difficulties right now.
We're having technical difficulties. Para los que quieren hacer un comentario en español. Okay. Opriman el botón que dice. Yeah, it's coming as live feedback here. Oprima el botón que dice Q y A en el porción bajo de su pantalla de Zoom. Los que están llamando por teléfono, si oprimes el botón 9, y los que están en persona, que se pueden llenar una carta y entrégalo a los miembros del staff. Okay.
Chair, thank you so much. We have quite a few speakers here online as well as in person. We will take the one in person first by the name of Ann Kay. Ann?
Hello, my name's Ann. I'm a member of the 4th State. And I would like, the reason I'm here is because these meetings are not made available to the public. Once you guys go live, it requires a public records request. So obviously, this organization lacks openness. So we're here because the rest of our counterparts are at other meetings. So this is the one I'm at today. There are people at other meetings also. So I would like there to be a change in how you archive these meetings so that the public can watch them online after they take place. Now, perhaps you feel like the people are on a need-to-know basis and they don't need to know. That is incorrect. And in case you guys don't know me, we're part of Project Sunshine, where we shed light on agencies that are very secretive. Thank you.
Thank you for the time. We have a second in-person speaker by the name of John Given.
Good evening, honorable board members and advisory board members. John Given on behalf of Los Angeles Parks Alliance. You may have already heard about the Court of Appeal decision in Los Angeles Parks Alliance versus Metro regarding the project EIR for the proposed downtown gondola project being ordered vacated, in large part because Metro failed to properly notify and consult with the Conservancy. As I shared with Metro in the Alliance's draft EIR response back in January 2023, the Conservancy is a trustee agency for numerous resources in the project area, including Elysian Park, El Pueblo de Los Angeles, which was deeded to the city years ago, but which was and must continue to be treated as a state historic park. Those parks are called out specifically in Public Resources Code Section 33105. Los Angeles State Historic Park is also located entirely within the Conservancy's jurisdiction. In fact, the entire project corridor is located within the Santa Monica Mountains zone. The scope of the Conservancy's jurisdiction is significant and will allow it to comment on many, if not all, aspects of the project if and when a new draft EIR is circulated for public comment. Personally, I'm fortunate to have lived in the Santa Monica Mountains for nearly 3 decades in Brentwood, so I know firsthand that the Conservancy has always been extremely responsive to the concerns of constituents within the Santa Monica Mountains zone and is quite protective of the incredible resources for which it is a trustee. I also know the community in the vicinity of this proposed project can trust the Conservancy to protect its resources in the project area when it is finally given the chance to do so by sharing its expert opinion on impacts on trustee resources that are affected by the project, perhaps recommending mitigation measures, if any are available, perhaps providing support for project alternatives, and certainly by explaining to Metro and other potential decision makers down the road the inherent value and necessity to protect and preserve parkland for park uses. I want to thank you all for your vital work to protect the Santa Monica Mountains in the zone. Thank you.
Thank you, John. The next speaker that we have will be online. The name, do we have another?
Captain Chad Cook.
Captain, actually, we'll do one more in person. Captain Chad Cook.
Chief Cook is here to talk on the topic of 11H. We can take that information now. I just thought he might be good to answer questions if they come up during deliberations. So if we're going to if we'll take 11H first, I would just respectfully ask that we hold on to his remarks till then.
We will hold off until 11H is addressed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. So we'll move on to the online speaker. The first online speaker is Randy Widera. Randy, you have the floor. Randy?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good evening. I'm Randy Widera, Director of Programs for California State Parks Foundation. We are a statewide organization committed to protecting and preserving the California State Park system for the benefit of all. The recent decision by the Court of Appeal rightly affirmed that the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy is a trustee agency for critical public resources that would be directly affected by the proposed gondola project. These include El Pueblo de Los Angeles State Historic Park, and Elysian Park, which are sacred sites of community, culture, and shared history. At the Foundation, we're deeply concerned about the dangerous precedent this project would set, allowing public resources, specifically the land and airspace over Los Angeles State Historic Park, to be transferred to a private developer for private gain undermines the very purpose of public trust lands. It directly threatens the principle that our parks are held in trust for all Californians and not for commercial exploitation. LA State Historic Park is a treasured space where communities reconnect with nature and this city's deep and diverse histories are honored. If a gondola were constructed here, that experience would be irrevocably altered. What is now a place of peace and reflection would become a transit corridor, loud and crowded and disruptive. It would be a station, not a sanctuary. The impact of this project would extend across all public resources under your trusteeship. It would sever the connective tissues that link these parks to each other and to the people who use and love them. This project would replace shared community resources with a privatized spectacle. We ask that the Conservancy fully engage with these local communities, your communities, as the supplementary EIR process unfolds. We count on your leadership to preserve these irreplaceable resources for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. The next public speaker is John Christensen. John, you have the floor.
Good evening. I'm John Christensen. I teach and do research in the Institute of the Environment and Sustainability at UCLA, and I'm one of the founders of the LA Parks Alliance. Together with the California Endowment, we challenged the EIR for Frank McCourt's proposed gondola to Dodger Stadium. The Court of Appeal has now ruled in our favor and is sending the EIR back to be decertified and redone. One of the main reasons the original EIR was flawed is that Metro, the lead agency, did not consult with the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, a trustee agency. The gondola would be built entirely within the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy zone, as you can see on the maps I provided to accompany my comment. The Conservancy is the only agency that has a mission to care about the natural, historical, and cultural resources that would be directly impacted by the gondola, including El Pueblo, LA State Historic Park, and Elysian Park, which the court called out in its decision. This area is also a crucial link between the Verdugo and San Gabriel Mountains to the north and the Santa Monica Mountains to the west, running across the LA River and through the historic heart of our city. The Conservancy is the only agency that has the vision to consider the cumulative impacts the gondola would impose on vital resources in this area, and especially to the ability of residents and visitors to enjoy, appreciate, and learn from experiences in this very special part of our city. We are grateful that the Court of Appeal recognized the importance of this trustee agency, even after Metro, the project proponents, and the lower court did not. We hope that you will ensure that community concerns about the impacts to your trustee resources are fully and fairly considered in the revised EIR. Thank you.
Thank you, John. The next public speaker would be, or is, Richard Rojas Sr. Richard, you have the floor. Richard?
Yes, my name is Richard Rojas Sr. During my 32-year career with California State Parks, I served in 7 different posts with increased responsibility, from journey level ranger to district superintendent for the Channel Coast District. Today, I address you as Director Emeritus for Latino Outdoors, a national volunteer-led organization dedicated to connecting youth and families with the outdoors. Latino Outdoors is a member of the LA Park Alliance, which challenged the LA Aerial Rapid Transit's flawed EIR. Shortly after Governor Gray Davis identified the $40 million to acquire the Cornfields property in 2001, I was asked to participate in early visioning meetings with residents and local community leaders for the proposed state park. In keeping with the vision for LA State Historic Park, maintaining connectivity to nearby parks by walking and biking are so important for nearby residents of all ages, especially low-income Latino residents. As Joe Edmondson said during the development of the park, quote, "Nature's tendrils are reaching right into downtown. That's what's unique about what will be the most, or is now, the most unique park in the state park system." If approved, the LA Art project would not do anything to help provide that kind of connectivity to our local youth and families. Instead, it would severely damage LA State Historic Park, take land and airspace away from the park, and make the experience of the park completely different. It would also damage the experience of El Pueblo, the historic heart of Los Angeles. The park and El Pueblo are a resource for which the Conservancy is a trustee agency, as the Court of Appeal recognized. This gondola project does not align well with the Conservancy's mission. We hope the Conservancy will make time to meet with our communities and hear about our concerns in the supplementary EIR process. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. The next speaker is Ron Kruper. Ron, you have the floor.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Ron Creeper. I'm a retired California State Park District Superintendent, and I represent Sea Spray, the California State Park Rangers Association. Sea Spray is an organization of 350 state park professionals, active and retired, that advocates for the protection of resources in the state park system. Sea Spray is a member of the LA Parks Alliance, which challenged the LA Art Metro Final EIR for the proposed gondola project from Union Station to Dodger Stadium. We are encouraged that a recent California Court of Appeal decision recognized Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy's role as a trustee agency and should have been consulted in the EIR process for resource impacts of the gondola projects, especially to LA State Historic Park, El Pueblo, and Legion Park. Sea Spray is particularly concerned about the potential precedent that would be set by allowing public resources, land and airspace over LA State Historic Park to be used by a private entity like LA Art for private gain. However, we are also concerned about the cumulative impact the gondola would have on all these resources, which the Conservancy is a trustee, the conductivity between them and people's ability to enjoy them. This project would not do anything to help conductivity between people and our already limited natural resources in heavily congested downtown LA. In fact, it would take away 2+ acres from the 32-acre State Historic Park. Sea Spray hopes that the Conservancy will make time to meet with us, visit LA State Historic Park, and see the potential impacts the gondola project would have and hear the community's concerns in the future supplementary EIR process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. The next public speaker that we have here is King. King, you have the floor.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My name is King Chung. I'm an organizer with Chinatown Community for Equitable Development. We against gentrification in Chinatown and work with tenants, especially senior tenants. We have a large proportion of seniors living in Chinatown. And I'd like to point out that one of the senior citizen building, Metro, is pretty close to the state park. And many seniors there, they walk to the state park as exercise. And also they participate in activities in the state park, such as food giving and also art activities and other activities. I think the gondola is going to I guess, ruin or prevent many of the seniors from going there, having the huge monster station right at the entrance to the park, especially during game days or during event days, and preventing the seniors from accessing the park. And also, as other speakers mentioned, how do we allow a private entity to use public airspace, take out public land to for their own selfish good? I hope you would come to visit Metro Senior Citizen Housing. The gondola are going to pass by it real close to it, maybe next to it actually, and they start from 6 a.m. to midnight every day, 365 days a week. And you imagine the seniors living there, getting the noise, pollution, and also they won't have privacy at all. People in the gondola can look inside and see everything that the seniors are doing. I mean, just imagine you're taking a shower and people can look in and see what you're doing. This is not a solution. The gondola doesn't make sense. If the Dodgers parking lot is allow people to park, even with the gondola, people would still go over there and park at the Dodger Stadium.
30 seconds remaining.
I'm sorry, what happened?
You have 30 more
Okay, if they have no parking there, they would park in Chinatown, causing problem in Chinatown with the traffic, pollution, and take away all the parking spaces. And thank you. Hopefully you come to Chinatown and listen to the residents and express our frustration, opposition to the gondola. Thank you.
Thank you, King. The next public speaker we have online is Robert Reyes Villagomez. Robert, you have the floor.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Robert Reyes Villagomez, and I am a organizer as well with Chinatown Community for Equitable Development. I'm also an organizer with the Stop the Gondola Coalition. And one of the pieces I wanted to raise up was the voice of the community. In CCED, we engage not only tenants, but small businesses, as well as homeowners that are in Chinatown about, various campaigns and issues in the neighborhood. And for me, as a organizer there and a volunteer for 3 years with Project Monarch LA, that works to rehabilitate the land and build monarch butterfly habitat in LA State Historic Park, this project needs to be stopped, and I asked the committee to oppose it totally. So you've heard from a lot of people about the issues, but every month we engage probably around hundreds of actual park users at the farmers market that goes on every Thursday evening at LA State Historic Park. If this project was allowed to go through, the farmers market where it is would be a transit tower that holds up the gondola as a stop, destroying one of the few places in Chinatown where residents can actually get fresh food. There's no grocery store in Chinatown, and that's one of the problems of just decades of disinvestment. Commercialization in the park is also going. I think it's too much. The concerts are great for some, but there are already, the venues do not respect the agreements. Their noise is way too loud. And I've met people in the arts district that have their whole building shake because of how loud and how late these concerts go. This gondola, there's no concrete plan, but we do know that one of the ways that Frank McCourt wants to build revenue is by having advertising on the sides of each gondola car. So as it flies from Olvera Street to LA State Historic Park, past Metro Senior Lofts, into above Cathedral High School, they're going to be blasted with all these advertisements that really will ruin the peaceful atmosphere in LA State Historic Park. I have issues, with the concerts and the other huge events that shut down the park, but to allow for a gondola to shut down the park for construction, cut down 80 trees in the park and hundreds along the transit route is just unacceptable. Rich neighborhoods have shade and they have trees that are established, and to allow a developer to cut down trees that have already taken probably more than a decade to get established is just horrible. I remember when the park was built, because I grew up in the area, and when it opened, I thought to myself, how is anybody going to go to this place? Because there's no shade. It's barren. It's barren. It's totally new. But as I've grown and used the park, as my family's used the park, and we are able to enjoy the shade, it's just something that why I dedicate hours of my life every month to try to protect our public resources. So I please ask you to oppose this project and any transit related project that's supposed to cut through LA State Historic Park and other parks, because it is just another symptom of a society that just, prides profit over people, and we deserve nice things. And I think that this historic park is just something that's incredibly special and needs to be protected. So thank you. Yeah, thanks. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Robert. The next online speaker is Amanda Stemmen. Amanda, you have the floor. Amanda. If you can hear us, please unmute.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Amanda Steeman, and I'm the Parks Committee Chairperson for the Sierra Club Angeles Chapter Central Group, which represents the area of Los Angeles directly affected by the proposed Los Angeles Aerial Rapid Transit Project. The Sierra Club is a proud member of the LA Parks Alliance, many of which you have already heard from tonight, a coalition of organizations committed to protecting and enhancing Los Angeles's green spaces. Alongside our partners, 1866 in historic Solano Canyon, Arts District Community Council LA, Los Angeles River State Park Partners, Clock Shop, California State Park Rangers Association, Northeast Trees, Los Angeles River Artists and Business Association, Coalition for a Beautiful Los Angeles, Chinatown Community for Equitable Development, Friends of Elysian Park, Friends of the LA River, Latino Outdoors, Nature for All, Anahuac Youth Sports Association, Trust for Public Land, and Friends of Griffith Park. We challenged the project's environmental impact report in partnership with the California Endowment. We are concerned that the Conservancy, as a trustee agency for key public resources, including El Pueblo, Los Angeles State Historic Park, and Elysian Park, was not consulted during the EIR process. As the court ruled, this created real prejudice and bias. We are deeply concerned about the harmful impact the gondola would have on these resources and the public's ability to meaningfully access and enjoy them. We're also concerned that the gondola is a greenwashing proposal that won't significantly improve traffic or reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and there are much better solutions to these problems. We respectfully request that the Conservancy make time to meet with us during the upcoming supplementary EIR process so we can ensure these critical concerns are heard and addressed. Thank you.
And the next public speaker we have online is Philip Murphy. Philip, you have the floor.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for giving us the time. I can't, well, I just want to endorse everything that everyone's just said. I'm Philip Murphy. I'm the president of Friends of Elysian Park, a nonprofit group that looks out for the park. My family has lived next to Elysian Park for 27 years.
Oh.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry, there's some interference. I'm sorry. I was saying my family has lived near Elysian Park, right over the hill from it, for 27 years, and we use the park all the time. Elysian Park is one of the oldest parks in LA. Some think it is the oldest, but there are a couple others in contention. And it's the park where the first arboretum ever existed in Southern California. The surrounding communities, from Angelino Heights to Chinatown, are historically diverse neighborhoods that depend on this park for recreation and an escape from the frantic metropolis that we all live in. The park is a vital link in the emerald necklace of green parks that rim the LA basin from Pacific Ocean along the Santa Monica Mountains to Griffith and LA State Historic Park. These parks need to be preserved and protected. Friends of Elysian Park was established in 1965 to present unwanted development, i.e. the convention center, a football stadium, not to mention more than one, an airport, small plane airport, and oil wells and more. We have succeeded in preserving and beautifying this park, but significantly, Elysian Park is a dark park that closes down at night and gives wildlife and the neighborhood a rest. The park surrounds Dodger Stadium. The gondola is the key for billionaire Frank McCourt to turn his parking lots there into a shopping and entertainment complex like LA Live. It will operate 365 days a year, day and night, bring traffic and noise, and light up the park throughout the night. This will destroy the tranquility of not only Elysian Park, but our neighborhoods. The Santa Monica Mountain Conservancy is our trustee agency. We ask that you please help us fend off this threat to the park and our community during the supplementary EIR process and beyond. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Philip. The next public speaker is Ruth Coleman. Ruth?
Thank you. My name is Ruth Coleman. I was director of California State Parks from 2002 to 2012, and I oversaw the early years of acquisition and development of LA State Historic Park. I currently serve on the boards of LA River State Park Partners, Friends of the LA River, and I'm a member of the LA Parks Alliance, which challenged the EIR for the gondola project proposed by Frank McCourt. During my tenure at State Parks, we worked really closely with Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, focusing on finding ways to increase the connectivity and accessibility of open space in LA. In fact, as we at State Parks worked to acquire what was then known as the Chinatown Cornfields, the sort of flat part of the remediated Union Pacific Rail Yard, the Conservancy nearly succeeded in acquiring the hillside immediately adjacent to the portion that State Parks was buying. State Parks and the Conservancy were working together to bring open space and connectivity to a historically underserved community. Disappointingly, another individual paid in excess of fair market value for that hillside, precluding the Conservancy's ownership. Nevertheless, the Conservancy continued to play a really important role in the preservation, expansion, and connectivity of natural and cultural resources in this region. So I applaud the Court of Appeal for recognizing the Conservancy's role as a trustee agency for resources that would be impacted by this gondola, including El Pueblo, LA State Historic Park, and Elysian Park. This project would set a horrible precedent by allowing public lands and airspace of LA State Historic Park to be given to a private entity for private gain. The project shrinks and degrades this park, a park expressly created for historically underserved communities. It's an axiom we found at State Parks that the open space we inherit can never be taken for granted. Our predecessors might have fought to create these open spaces, but it falls to every generation to preserve what we inherit. And in fact, many of the activists that fought so hard to create LA State Historic Park have passed on, and now it falls to all of us to preserve this space that they fought so hard to protect. This gondola project does not align with the Conservancy's mission. So we're all counting on the Conservancy to hear the concerns of the diverse communities that would be impacted by this project. We hope that the Conservancy will make time to meet with us and visit our parks. In fact, I want to invite you to the Kite Festival being put on by Clock Shop. It's this Saturday from 2 to 6, and it's an extraordinary fun event with thousands of people coming in and flying kites in this park and using every bit of that airspace. You can see the impact this gondola could have and hear our concerns in the supplementary EIR process. State parks should never be the pathway for infrastructure. Once created, they need to be preserved for future generations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ruth. The next public speaker could be both, but it was originally submitted under the name Helen Campbell / Council Member Ulises Hernandez. You're both able to speak if you wish.
Hello, good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ulises Hernandez. I'm the council member that represents the 1st District here in the city of Los Angeles, where the proposed gondola is set to be built. I am also a lifelong resident of this district and have seen this piece of land turn into State Historic Park. I've lived here for 35 years. I've seen it turn from train tracks and trash into a beautiful space that a lot of us go to on the regular. Concerns about the gondola are one of the most urgent issues I hear from residents in CD1. It was a huge issue when I ran for office, and it continues to be a huge issue, particularly for those neighborhoods directly affected by the proposed project. An environmental impact report is a tool for public transparency. It's meant to give communities and decision makers the full picture of a project's impact, but that's not what happened here. The outreach around the CIR was rushed, it was inadequate, and the Court of Appeal confirmed that in their decision last week. The court recognized that the Conservancy was never properly consulted. That's a huge deal. It's a trustee agency responsible for protecting El Pueblo, Los Angeles State Historic Park, and Elysian Park. And that was recognized, I think is critical. The court rightly pointed out that it created a biased process. At this moment, we cannot know what concerns could have been addressed in the EIR had the Conservancy been able to hear the public and weigh in on something they are mandated to do and are privileged to do. We don't know what critical we don't even know what critical concerns were missed about access, environmental impact, community use, and how these parks are connected and the effect on the people they serve. Finally, the Court of Appeal also ruled that there was no sufficient analysis or recommendations to address the noise impacts of the project on local residents in my district. I take great offense at this entire process because my district fought for so long to remove the industrial uses from these parcels to create the state park that we now see today. And now we have to put in just as much effort to defend this open space from disappearing project by project. Let me put it in perspective. In my district, if you distributed all the parkland evenly, each person would receive an area the size of one sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11 inches. That's it. And I have some of the densest neighborhoods in the entire West Coast. MacArthur Park, Pico Union, Westlake being some of them. But also we are park poor and green space poor. You know, we should not be giving away precious parkland and airspace to a billionaire. We need a public process that listens to the people who live there. I urge the Conservancy to do its part in helping to address constituents' concerns and protect our limited public resources, our limited public spaces, green spaces. We are counting on the Conservancy to hold honest conversations with our community and make sure the supplemental EIR reflects the truth of what this project would mean for our neighborhoods. Thank you so much, and please reach out if you all need anything. I hope you also heard the community that was present. These are folks that live in Chinatown, that organize in Chinatown, and the surrounding neighborhoods. And they've expressed very clearly and eloquently how they feel about this. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Council member, I have to congratulate you. That's the most graphic description of the lack of park resources that I've ever heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Council Member Hernandez. We have two more public speakers online. The next public speaker is Kimberly Morales Johnson. Kimberly, you have the floor.
Good evening, Meija. Thank you for taking my comments into consideration. My name is Kimberly Morales Johnson, and I'm the Tribal Secretary for the San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians. As an enrolled tribal member, I honor and respect the teachings of my ancestors and their memory and their advocacy, and that's why I'm here tonight. I'm here to oppose the building of the gondola and the impact that it will have on LA Historic Park and the surrounding areas. It's important for you to know that I am a descendant of my tribe, and we are the original caretakers of this plot of land. We have not been given recognition and respect, although we are also a trustee of these lands and resources, as the Conservancy's land acknowledgement acknowledged this evening. I'm calling to urge the Conservancy to hear and take into consideration the concerns of our tribal community and the many diverse communities that will be negatively impacted by this project. We have so few precious resources and open spaces. This project would not do anything to help the land, nor provide that kind of reciprocal connectivity between people and our natural resources. Instead, it would severely damage them and take away our opportunities to benefit for them, all for the benefit of yet another greedy billionaire. We hope that the Conservancy will make time to meet with our communities and hear from us about our concerns in the supplementary EIR process. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. The last public speaker online is Xochitl Manzanilla. Xochitl, you have the floor. Xochitl, if you can hear me, please unmute.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Xochitl Manzanilla, and I live at William Mead Homes, just a block away from the LA State Historic Park. I have been living at William Mead for the last 33 years, and I live just across the street, almost from LA State Historic Park, as I said. And I'm running a arts and crafts program since the last 8 years at the LA State Historic Park, since the grand opening of the park. That takes place every second and fourth Wednesday of the month, starting from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And it's a space where families, neighbors, and kids come together to create, connect, and enjoy the beauty of the park. And I'm here to express my strong support for the Stop the Gondola Coalition. I was incredibly glad to hear that the Court of Appeal rejected LA Metro's approval of this awful gondola project. In the environmental impact report that the environmental impact report that decision is a big victory for all of us who care deeply about our public parks and historic communities in our neighbors. And no one asks for a gondola floating above our homes or our parks or our lives. I'm grateful to the court for recognizing the flaws in the process, especially Metro's failure to meaningfully consult with the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy and to properly address the serious environmental and noise impact of the project. We deserve a transparent and community-driven access process. We deserve to have our voices heard, and we deserve development that actually meets the needs of the people who live here, not just billionaires with an agenda. Frank McCourt is a billionaire who does not care about this community or the people who live here.
30 seconds remaining.
Okay, well, the effort created something truly special for our neighbors, a space for nature, connection, culture, and community. And now the legacy is being threatened by the billionaire Frank McCourt, who does not care anything about our communities. And he's trying to do something that we don't need. We really don't need this gondola. We already have free transportation from Union Station to Dodger Stadium. This is only a touristic attraction, and he just wants to get more wealthy with the people with the income. This is only people with low income, and we need to stop this gondola forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Xochitl. Everyone, we've come to the end of all the online speakers. I'd like to pass this to the River Center to see if there's any in-person speakers over there.
Yes.
Hi, hello. Okay, hello. Hi, my name is Junie Wong, and I'm a community organizer in Chinatown with Power LA and the Stop the Gondola Coalition. We are happy that the State Court of Appeal recognized this conservancy and its role as a trustee agency for resources in the Santa Monica Conservancy Zone. This zone includes Chinatown, as well as El Pueblo, LA State Historic Park, and Elysian Park, all of which would be adversely impacted by billionaire Frank McCourt's proposed gondola. For almost 3 years, I've been doing direct outreach in Chinatown, which is a largely low-income, monolingual immigrant community, where residents are desperately in need of services like food access, healthcare, and public green space. We need safer and accessible, including language accessible, pedestrian connection to our parks, including LA State Historic Park and Elysian Park. We think it is indicative of McCourt's lack of concern for the impacts on Chinatown that the lead agency for his proposal, Metro, failed to adequately notify the Conservancy as a trustee agency. They showed the same lack of care and concern about our input when Chinatown residents overwhelmingly opposed the project at public input meetings. When it comes to people who live in the affected area, Chinatown never asked for a gondola. We asked for increased bus services, which Chinatown has been losing, and for preserving LA State Historic Park, its land and airspace as is. They did not consider the needs of the people that would bear the brunt of this project's consequences. For example, flying 26 feet over the roofs of longtime Chinatown homes, just to reach a stadium that is actually empty nearly 75% of the year. They only considered the desires of a billionaire developer who does not even live in LA. So we are grateful that the Conservancy now has the opportunity to weigh in on a supplementary EIR. We invite you again to come visit Chinatown, visit Metro Senior Loft, visit William Mead Homes, and our parks to see for yourself the cumulative impact that this project would have on residents and on the resources and connectivity for which you are a trustee. I hope you'll see that Chinatown residents deserve the same respect as residents of the greener and more wealthy communities in the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy Zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Junie. Our next public speaker is Phyllis Ling.
Good evening. My name is Phyllis Ling. I'm a resident in LA's Chinatown and founder of Stop the Gondola. I'm here urging you to protect our neighborhoods and our parks from the LA Art Gondola to Dodger Stadium. I live in a small neighborhood dating to the late 1800s with 1- and 2-story homes and apartments next to Elysian Park and LA State Historic Park. Being next to 2 parks has benefits, but my neighborhood is also where a billionaire wants to build a 98-foot tall angle station for the gondola called the Broadway Junction. My neighbors and I, who are mostly low-income families, young people, and seniors, live within the Conservancy zone, and yet at times we feel forgotten because of our poor connectivity to our parks, and the gondola does nothing to improve that. Instead, we're just a convenient place for a developer to buy up properties to build his ill-conceived gondola. They claim it will provide access to Elysian Park, but all it would do is drop folks at the eastern edge of the stadium's parking lot, far, far away from any recreation areas. And the supersized gondola doesn't even have enough capacity to prevent crazy long lines that are common with gondola systems, which is why they would have a reservation system that, quote unquote, prioritizes boarding for people going to Dodgers games. This means that the system would often be inaccessible to the general public. This is neither public access nor public transit, and our communities shouldn't be asked to bear its burdens. Rather than provide a public benefit, this project would forever damage our historic neighborhoods and parks with noise and blight. LA State Historic Park was an environmental justice victory, but would be forever changed with the 2 biggest parts of the project on 2 sides of the park: the 98-foot tall passenger station at the southern end of the park and the 98-foot tall Broadway Junction that sits on a 30-foot bluff on the northwestern side of the park. The cables and cabins would be very low to the ground, only 26 feet over a very popular hill in the park, which is why so many large trees would be cut down. These massive 5-ton cabins would be wrapped in advertising. These would be flying billboards with ads for who knows what: sports betting, injury attorneys, financial services, alcohol, the list goes on. Flying over our historic neighborhoods from El Pueblo all the way to LA State Historic Park, past my neighborhood onto Dodger Stadium. Very soon, the Conservancy will be asked to comment on this project, and when that time comes, please don't betray our communities with either silence or, God forbid, support for a billionaire's boondoggle, which he isn't even paying for. Please share your expert testimony to advocate for the integrity of our historic neighborhoods and open spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Phyllis. Our next public speaker is Raul Macias.
I'm going to speak in Spanish.
Gracias.
Mi nombre es Raúl Macías, presidente y fundador de Anáhuac Yo Sport Association. Presidente desde 1980. En 1994 empecé a involucrarme con los niños y la juventud del área de Cypress Park, Lincoln Heights, Highland Park, Glacier Park y me dio por hacer una liga deportiva de soccer en 1994. No había ninguna y con un nombre que se identificara a todos. Y nació Anáhuac. Significa lugar rodeado de agua. El nombre de la lengua náhuatl de nuestros ancestros. Y este continente, así se llama, continente Anáhuac. Que significa, Nicaragua significa hasta aquí llega el Anáhuac. La idea de usar el deporte no es nuevo. Generaciones han hecho lo mismo para empoderarlos para su bien futuro. Y sin parques no habría futuro. Luchamos por ellos y apareció Teloyar y la lucha para combatirla, convertirla en un parque, tardó 5 años. Y si yo confío y otros 5 años más luchando. Hubo héroes como Robert García, como Antonio González, como Ruth Coleman y otros más que lucharon juntos con la comunidad. El Parque Recreativo Histórico Park del Río de Los Ángeles está cada día más hermoso. El Pasivo Park está en peligro. Está en peligro. El principal pulmón futuro de nuestra ciudad por un proyecto de avaricia de unos cuantos, sin sentido común. Pedimos que Santa Mónica Conservancy no permita que se afecte el corazón de LA History Park. No góndolas.
Gracias, Road. Our next public speaker is Douglas Martinez.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Douglas Karstens. Good evening, honorable board members and advisory committee members and staff. I am an attorney that also represented the California Endowment in the court case, which was referred to by an attorney earlier. I really, really appreciate it and wish I could just re-echo and uplift the voices of the community that we just heard this evening. Long ago, we had helped represent the community in fighting to create the State Historic Park of Los Angeles. Our office had actually represented the Chinatown Yards Alliance, including the Anahuac Soccer Club. And to come today and have to defend that, I come before you with a humility, and we are here to support the community's efforts and the Los Angeles Parks Alliance efforts to require mitigation of the gondola project's severe impacts and to highlight environmentally superior alternatives to the gondola project. We thank and appreciate what the Conservancy has done, the important and vital work that you have done throughout your extensive jurisdiction, a jurisdiction that was mentioned by the Court of Appeal in footnote 36, a very lengthy footnote about the Conservancy and the Conservancy Act, which created the Conservancy. The Court of Appeal decision required, among other things, that Metro consult with the Conservancy as required by the California Environmental Quality Act. And that can be abbreviated CEQA. CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, is a Bill of Rights for an environmental democracy. It's for how the public can participate in government decisions. And it requires Metro's review of the proposed private gondola to include consultation with you, the Conservancy. The Conservancy has a statutory obligation to consult, and as trustees of vital public, urban, and historic areas in downtown Los Angeles, the Conservancy has a duty to protect the future generations the precious historic and other resources of El Pueblo and the State Historic Park and Elysian Park that was mentioned that will be severely impacted by construction and ongoing operation of the gondola. It will certainly adversely impact the public's uses of these properties, including for quinceañeras, birthday parties, festivals, parades, the farmers market. There's just so many things that will be adversely impacted by this project. We stated in response to a court question at oral argument that the Conservancy, if given proper notice, could potentially propose mitigation measures for buildings at El Pueblo, such as the Avila Adobe, the Methodist Church, and the Pico House, such as sound insulation or air conditioning or schedule limits to reduce noise impacts. We noted that the Conservancy could have suggested better construction noise analysis for El Pueblo and the State Historic Park, such as through the use of noise contour mapping. The lack of timely notice deprived the Conservancy of the opportunity to weigh in about the project, and now that chance is being given to the Conservancy by this court's order. Thank you for considering our comments and those of the public as you are consulted by Metro, as the Court of Appeal has clarified current law requires, in Metro's further review processes for the proposed gondola project. We had, as I mentioned at the top, represented the community in helping to create the State Historic Park. There was a proposal for 40 acres of warehouses that the community organized and acted against in order to create the State Historic Park. Up the river, the Rio de Los Angeles River, we're right between these two historic state parks, was also a community effort to create parks for the community. We ask that you listen, please, to community voices and help protect them. And I would be available for questions and looking forward to this Conservancy's precious work in the future. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Douglas.
Any other comments? No.
Are there any more public speakers in person at the River Center?
There are no more public speakers at the River Center.
You, Chip, Mr. Chair. We do have one last in-person public speaker here at KGR by the name of Halen Conrad. Halen, you have the floor. Please kindly speak directly into the mic.
Say what? Oh, now it's on. Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening and thank you. My name is Halen Conrad and I'm a Malibu City Council member. Our meeting was canceled tonight, so I'm grateful to be here with you. I wish I could come more often, but there's a conflict. I want you to know how much I admire and appreciate the work that you do. I feel very fortunate to live in these mountains. They shape not just our environment, but our way of life. And I know that this is a lot of work that you guys put into everything here, protecting the lands. Thank you all for dinner. I hadn't eaten and it was a warm and generous welcome. I look forward to listening, learning, and finding ways we can support each other's efforts to preserve this extraordinary place. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Halen. We have no more public speakers.
I just want to make a my organization, Coalition for a Beautiful Los Angeles, is a member of LA Parks Alliance, and I am the representative. Will be abstaining from any vote in the future on that project, but I thought everyone should know that I'm a part of this organization.
Okay.
Unless you have a particular financial interest, you don't have to abstain.
I know, but for the appearance, you know, I just feel that it's appropriate. So.
Okay. Okay, thank you. For those that did make the comment, I did have the opportunity to sidebar here with our Attorney General representative, and since the item's not on the agenda, I think we'll restrict our comments to just listening to the feedback, both the written comments and the verbal ones expressed today, and we'll have an opportunity to follow up with this in the future. So thank you all for coming today. With that, I believe our public comment is closed. And we will move forward to item 11H. And if I can get a staff presentation, and I know we also have our fire chief here from Ventura. I hope he's been patient with our public comment. We're trying to facilitate and take it all in as much as we can, but 11H is a consideration of resolution authorizing a grant of Proposition 4 funds to the Ventura County Fire Protection District for early implementation of wildfire prevention programs. So if I can ask for staff comments, and if we can move to the advisory committee for their comments as well.
Mr. Chairman and members, the staff proposes the board grant $1 million to the Ventura County Fire Department. And they've outlined, you see in your materials, a number of projects that they would use that for. Perhaps we should just turn it over to Chief Chad Cook, who's here representing the department.
Thank you, everyone. I'm honored to be able to speak to you today. And some of you I got to meet tonight. So starting this relationship out is more important than probably the work itself, just being present in the room here tonight. And thank you, Supervisor Burrell, too, for inviting me here tonight. I actually find a lot of value in getting a chance just to speak to people about mitigation measures, especially in the landscape and what we have seen happening here in California over, I'll say, the last 6 months, 7 months. And we're no newcomer to fire anywhere here in Southern California. If anyone has lived here for any period of time, we realize that fire is part of our ecosystem here. Now, of course, there's a lot that goes along with those words. And I will tell you that even the comments of people talking about fire retardant, I'm pretty well versed in fire retardant and FOSCHEC. And I had somebody ask me a question about the color of it. And it's food coloring that's in there just so the pilots can see where they dropped before. So there's really no harm in that. That's just for us to be able to have an aerial reference point on where it's at and where you put it. And most of it is fertilizer when we use FOSCHEC on ammonium nitrate. So that's a totally different study on that, but I do want to cover a lot of the measures that were granted to us here. First of all, we take these projects very seriously. And when we look at money that is awarded to us, we are stewards of taxpayer dollars. We're stewards of the funds that have been made available to us by grants. We take this project very seriously. We've divided the project basically up into several service areas that are out there with not only a purpose, but a strategy behind it. We have our own hand crews, we have our own mechanized equipment, we have all of our own facilities, our own training, and our own purpose behind all this. Our projects are not just pulled out of thin air. They're actually vetted to look at areas that can actually stop spread of wildfire and not only protect residential structures, but also protect the landscape and the watershed. We look at all components of this. Years ago, we used to do a lot of thinning projects. We used to do a lot of mitigation measures that are out on the lands right now. We're trying to get back into those, but they are expensive. It costs. So this grant definitely helps the agency by putting our people out there that can do these mitigation projects. So again, we truly do appreciate it. Our vegetation treatment and landscape scale is designed specifically for the project areas. There are 5 project areas that you have been briefed on basically with maps. The first project area is a community outreach and education facilitating firewise communities. As you know, we are in an interesting dilemma right here now with the insurance industry in California. People struggle to get insurance in their homes. People are struggling to protect their communities. So basically, an education program that looks at firewise communities for hardening of our homes around our structures and things like that is really where it all starts with. Our educational campaigns are met through public meetings, actually going out, meeting with people, and we take that very seriously, putting people out there and actually interfacing with people so work can be accomplished. Project plan number 2 is the Carlisle Road western portion of the Vetter Fire Road system that used to be maintained many, many years ago. When we come in to do areas, we just don't do clear cutting and make it visible to scar the lands. That is an important piece. We do a lot of mastication work. We do shaded fuel breaks. We do things to slow fire spread in the event of a fire. We try to keep it on ridge systems, but also so it's not an eyesore to the community. We understand our people are professionals. They understand how to do this and how to mitigate things without, again, like I said, scarring up the land. We usually try to use our spur ridges. We use areas that are kind of not visible, but things that we could definitely take advantage in the event of a fire where mechanized equipment can get in and work. a lot of these areas, people think, well, why don't we just put heavy equipment and dozers up there? And that is disruptive to the lands. It's disruptive to the soil. We have many other methods that we use, including goats now. I was speaking with some folks in the room regarding our goats. We have a very, very robust goat program in Ventura County. And I will tell you, it works fantastic. But we bring them into certain areas, we fence off the areas, and we allow the goats to go to work. And you'd be surprised at the work they do in 7 days. And they know exactly what they're doing. They're better than all of us, and they can figure out how to survive out there, and they know exactly what to eat and not eat. And they are really good at maintaining the lands. So again, that is just one of the things that we use them for. That's in conjunction with mastication and prescribed fire. One of the things too with prescribed fire is mitigating areas that are also in these project plans with pile burning, basically thinning and pile burning and consuming the product out there where it sits. Plan 3 is again Yerba Buena Road to Cawthron Road. Again, fuel treatments with mastication with prescribed fire. We do a cut and a lay down where we basically lay it right back down on the landscape, and we only burn certain material. The rest of it is made to look like a natural shaded fuel break. So again, that's one of the other project areas. That one encompasses about 21 acres. The one before was about 16.5 acres. The Serrano Road to Cawthron to Sycamore Canyon Fire Road is an area too that we're looking at for mastication and prescribed fire and improving all of the road systems in there. There will be some motor grader work in there because there is road infrastructure that we can repair that's already in there with no new roads being done, but we can handle some flood mitigation with that too, where we come in with some mechanized equipment and we stop erosion from occurring. So that's just a brief overview of things. And project number 5 that we have is the Deer Creek Road to Pacific View to Cawthron, and that's both sides of the roadway. That is using goats, masticators, and again, some prescribed fire in there. Overall, that one is about 38 acres, and all of it has been mapped. Our people are out looking at all these things, and the money will be well spent on a project like this that will definitely benefit not only the homeowners, but the lands in the area too. I'm open to any questions that you might have regarding the work that we do.
Thank you, Chief. Julie, why don't we take the advisory committee comments first?
Yes, advisory committee, I understand we're not going to really take any comments, so we have a motion to pass this. So moved. Thank you. Thank you. Did you?
So this sounds like a fantastic project, not a question specifically regarding this, but we're hearing, I think, about 11 million in Prop 4 grants today. So that's a good proportion of our allotment. So I just was wondering if you could take a step back and sort of describe how today's docket sort of meshes with sort of the strategy we'll be seeing come in the coming months.
Let me address that. Yes, it is a high proportion, but the need is now. So if we were to parcel it out over a number of years, people would say, well, wait a minute, that fire season that you had back in 25, how come you didn't do more? And the answer is we're going to do as much as we possibly can now because this is where the need is. So that's why we're front loading so many of these projects.
Sir, if I could chime in one thing with that, another question was not directly to me, but on the heels of the Woolsey fire, some of our fuels are, they have been mitigated in what we call type converted right now. And it is the time, it's a perfect time to take advantage of some of these fueled areas that have thinner vegetation to come into, instead of waiting for the regrowth over a couple year span. So to act now in some of these areas was pivotal, is why we chose some of those project areas specifically.
Yes, please.
Yes, you mentioned the goats know. You mentioned that the goats know what to eat, not to eat, and so forth. Are they exposed to the negative plant life prior to this, prior to coming to our area, or how's that work?
No, and the goats will eat everything, and it's not specific to that. What it is we go in and if there's species of plants that the goats should not be eating, we'll fence around them.
Okay.
So our crews that go in actually think of all this, and we actually walk the sites and we look at them. So if there are things that need to be separated out so the goats aren't in there, we put temporary fencing around stuff. And it could be as small pockets in areas where you have species of plants that you don't want to be touched.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So can we go back to the motion? Wendy, yes? I made the motion. Yes. Thank you.
I'll take the roll call. Ms. Acker? Ms. Anderson? Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cacciati?
Yes.
Mr. Corridori?
Yes.
Mr. Dennert?
Yes.
Ms. Dransfeld? Ms. Fossen?
Yes.
Mr. Garand?
Yes.
Miss James?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Ms. Mikos?
Aye.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Rosen?
Yes.
Mr. Wendler?
Yes.
Ms. Newsom?
Yes.
And that carries.
Okay, Conservancy members, is there a motion and a second on the floor?
I still move.
A motion by Mr. Ortega and a second, was that Mr. Guerrero out there? Let's say yes, Mr. Guerrero. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the Conservancy?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and it sounds like a really ambitious, great project. And I just wanted to throw out that I really hope that your staff will work closely with the National Park Service. A significant portion of one of those projects that you just outlined is a new acquisition by the National Park Service and is largely federal property. And so I think there needs to be a little bit of coordination before any work is done on those lands.
That Deer Creek?
Yes.
Deer Creek, right?
Yeah, the Deer Creek Road. We now own both sides of that road for a significant portion of the way up.
Absolutely. Well,
Thank you.
yeah, in closing, I just do want to say one thing to everybody. A lot of times you may not get to see the Ventura County Fire Department. Most of the facilities here is in Los Angeles County, but we are your partners in defense. And I will tell you that our relationships matter. We're not above reproach. If anybody has any questions or comments, my door is always open. I will speak to anybody regarding anything, and we take input from everybody. So we're part of the public, and we care about our relationship. So thank you.
Real quick, you have a good relationship with our MRCA fire?
Oh, yes, very, very much so. For a lot of years.
Okay, great. Chief, thank you for joining us. Please feel welcome any and every time you're in the area. And with that, let's get a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Guerrero?
Yes.
Ms. Lyle?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes.
Ms. Pavley?
Yes.
Mr. Veras?
Yes,
That carries.
thank you. Okay, let's jump back to discussion item A, which is the approval of our minutes. Advisory Committee?
Yes, and regarding the minutes of April 21st, are there any comments or edits? If none, may I ask for a motion?
So move.
Thank you. Thank you. James, do you please do the roll call?
Ms. Acker? Ms. Anderson? Ms. Brown?
Yeah.
Mr. Cacciati?
Yes.
Mr. Corridori? Mr. Dennert?
Abstain.
Ms. Dransfeld? Ms. Fossen?
Yes.
Mr. Garand?
Abstain.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Ms. Mikos?
Aye.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Rosen?
Yes.
Mr. Wendler?
Yes.
Ms. Newsom?
Yes.
That carries with 2 abstentions.
Okay, thank you. Conservancy members, motion and a second.
I motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. Is there a second?
Good.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Guerrero? Oh, Ms. Lyle?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes.
Ms. Pavley?
Yes.
Mr. Veras?
Yes.
That carries.
Okay, next we have item 11B, consideration of a resolution authorizing a comment letter to the California Department of Transportation for the Pacific Coast Highway Master Plan feasibility study in the city of Malibu. Let's do
Mr.
a.
Chairman, I think we have Elena Ager, who heads our coastal team. Is she going to be speaking on this one? If not, it's Mario Sandoval.
Hi, good evening. Joe, it is Mario covering for the coastal team. Happy to report on this. Good evening, Chair, Board, Advisory Committee members, staff, and members of the public. My name is Mario Sandoval, MRCA Coastal Planner for this item. The 60-day public comment period for Caltrans Pacific Coast Highway Master Plan Feasibility Study ends on June 9th. Before you is a resolution to authorize the attached comment letter to the California Department of Transportation for this study. We were last before you in December to present on the draft study and the proposals that recommended the removal of hundreds of existing public parking spaces on PCH that would directly impact public access to beaches and inland parks and trails. This comment letter and the corresponding attachments address the consistent public agency concerns regarding the removal of existing public parking and the inadequate local mitigation for the proposed removal. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them. Thank you.
Advisory Committee.
Yes, Roseanne.
What happened to the notion that Caltrans was seriously going to consider the comments that we made before? When you made the presentations several months ago, it sounded like they were maybe going to listen, but as I read this letter, it sounds like they didn't.
That is correct. We made our concerns known back in December. They had an extended period of time since then to make any considerations for our comments, not only our comments, but several public agencies, including the California Coastal Commission and the LA Surf Rider Foundation, in regards to the removal of parking and the concerns, the impacts to public access for those removals. And so in this letter, we're addressing the 10-year record of public agencies addressing those same concerns for the removal of parking in consideration for public safety.
Do we have any other questions regarding? Somebody ask for a motion?
Move approval, Micus.
Second.
Thank you.
Before we vote on it,
Yes.
I do have comments, it's not questions.
Yes, I'm sorry, please.
I know it's not going to sound related, but recently St. Valley brought back the Huff and Fish. The reason for that is California Outdoor Bill of Rights. They want people to be active, healthy, mentally and physically healthy adults. They've got to start as kids. I'm not the best environmentalist. I don't know the most names of species. I don't speak Latin, and I can't keep track of some of the birds. I know how to make an environmentalist, and it's definitely with access to the coast and access to nature, and let kids get out there. Malibu is the closest beaches to St. Valley, and many of the Malibu beaches and the access points are part of MRCA, which means they belong to everyone in California. So I don't like being treated as a visitor when I visit, or when we're commenting, saying, well, you're visiting the beaches. Well, these are all of our beaches. Zuma is the home volleyball courts for many of the tournaments for Royal High School, where I'm a teacher. My daughter is a player there. They're undefeated this season, and Royal Volleyball is 24-0 in the last 3 seasons. Sometimes people want to go Zuma because of the social scene, but there's other beaches you might want to go to that if you concentrate parking far away from the beaches, you're de facto cutting off access. Sometimes you want to be on a beach as the Zoom background. Looks a little bit more wild and free. And other times you might want the social scene. So we want access to all of it. I do understand that Community of Malibu is interested in public safety. I share that concern. I can see lots of suggestions in the staff report to provide for public safety. I don't mind anything that slows down traffic, and I definitely don't mind enforcement of people taking advantage and driving really fast through their community. But if we're going to spend a huge amount of money, the end result should be more access and more safety. It shouldn't be just one of those two things. Recently in St. Valley, I think that's come up often is the trash trucks. The trash trucks line our freeway. People have been complaining about rocks breaking their windshields or cracking them. A trash truck allegedly crashed this weekend. My source is Facebook, so I don't have a highway patrol report on that. But the reason I bring that all up is when I see that, I see us as partnerships in the recovery of these fire-affected communities. That said, I would expect when we go to the beach, we don't have a variety of hoops to jump through, people taking out signs for public access or finding ways to have a safety plan, reduce access to the beaches. So I'd ask that not only do we support the motion, but we think of other ways that we could support this effort. Rancho Simi recently sent a letter, our board voted on it. And I'd ask other park districts in the area like Caneo and Pleasant Valley to also weigh in on that and have your boards weigh in, because if this goes through and a lot of that public access is reduced and the traffic is, the people that these beaches belong to, which is all of us, are going to find out when it happens, because they're not paying attention to California Highway Patrol and Caltrans traffic studies. So they're going to find out when they try to go to the beach that something was voted on at a meeting that they didn't know about. Now, I know they're publicly accessed meetings, but that's how they're going to find out. I'd also like that if any of us have questions, that staff could be available to help us make sure any op-eds are accurate or any letters to the editor that we send, so it's fact-based and we can inform people.
Thank you, Brian. Does anyone have any comments or questions? I don't want to cut someone off.
Just one question in regards to, last time I remember there was issues with the meeting being held, and I wasn't sure if there are more public meetings coming up, for us to attend or to notify others to go to.
I'm not aware of that.
Yes, Caltrans did have an in-person meeting at the city of Malibu on April 9th when they issued the 60-day comment period and released the study. Since then, they've had 2 additional virtual meetings, the last which was held this afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m. But that doesn't mean that public comments are not welcome through the end of the 60-day comment period, which ends on June 9th. So I do recommend, if you do still want to provide your comments, go to Caltrans project website, and I'd be happy to distribute that to the board secretary so that everyone can have it.
Thank you.
Yes, please provide that to the whole board and advisory committee.
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Any further?
I would just ask that if we have projects that we've written comment letters on and there are public hearings coming up, could maybe somebody circulate those notices to us as board members and advisory committee members? Maybe we'd like to attend some of those, and I didn't know about the meeting today between 1 and 3, and I would have maybe liked to have known. So in the future, maybe we could be informed.
Thank you.
Good idea.
Anyone more comments, questions? And may I ask for a motion?
I'll move approval of the staff suggestions.
We already did. Well, then we're done.
Ms. Acker, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cacciati,
Yes.
Mr. Corridori, Mr. Dennert,
Yes.
Ms. Dransfeld,
Yes.
Ms. Fossen,
Yes.
Mr. Garand,
Yes.
Ms. James,
Yes.
Mr. Kraut,
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Ms. Mikos,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson,
Yes.
Ms. Rosen,
Yes.
Mr. Wendler,
Yes.
Ms. Newsom,
Yes.
that carries.
Okay, thank you. Conservancy members, we have 11B before us. Do I hear a motion in a second?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments,
I have a comment.
Senator?
Yes, it's Fran Pavley. Thank you
Yep.
very much for that, the report, whoever wrote all that, that I needed another week or 2 to actually go through it, but I went through quite a bit of it. And I know Malibu well enough that the primary concern is public safety. And I'm glad the council member is here because we all share that. Brian, excuse me, you mentioned that too. We get that, whether it's extra law enforcement, whether it's they put in cameras. I know Senator Allen had carried a bill to assist getting some funding on. So we appreciate that. And it's a combination of factors that lead to that. It's not just people who want to go to the beach or go to a park and hike, whether it's drunk driving or speeding. And if there's combinations of
ways to work together on ways to get traffic slowed down. That's a good thing. But in regards to this, I have a lot of concerns for a variety of reasons. I have to admit, I've always been in person, grew up in Sherman Oaks, and now it's Agora Hills. And boy, on a hot summer day, just knowing that within a half hour, the temperature drops 25 degrees, you take the kids and go there. And for many people, especially who don't have air conditioning, it's really an important resource in so many ways. Good for family, good for friends. So, but when you read the report, a loss of 675 spaces is not okay. How do we replace some of those spaces? Is it like the report said? It seemed legitimate to me. Some of it is losing 2 feet with the highway for 2 feet width of the highway, whether encroached landscaping or adjacent property owners, or with dirt. How do you get those spaces back instead of just saying, well, we can't do that, it's not wide enough? Yes, we need bike lanes plus that. I know it's a lot of factors that go into it, but we have to do a better job. Or the buses that will drop off people, whether it's to Escondido Canyon or crossing the highway, they'd have enough space to do it, but how much space do they need? Do you take even more away? So on the top of my head, at 675 loss of spaces, we can do better than that. Caltrans, I think, is primarily engaged because of the public safety part. This looks at a whole different agency, Conservancy, and the Coastal Conservancy, who are looking out for one of the best resources California has, and that's our beach. Access for the public, for everyone to enjoy our beaches, makes it special. So I hope that people find some of that middle ground, and we work together to help with the public safety factor. If I see one more tire of a dead person symbol on PCH, that's too much. It's been horrible the last 20 plus years, and it's getting worse. And it is a lot of visitors, but it's a lot of local people as well engaged in lack of public safety. So let's figure out how we can do better. And but this is not the way to do it. I think we can do both. Let people go to the beach. Yes, the trailheads that are on not on the ocean side, but most of them are on the other side. Can't just get rid of the north side of PCH. So this part of the discussion isn't Caltrans' background. So the agencies need to get together and really help us work this out.
Okay. Thank you. I also want to echo your comments. I think we're authorizing the comment letter here, and it's understandable, but the resources that are there are valuable and important. And beyond the comment letter, if there's a continuous engagement that can continue to occur to raise the questions about access and continued access. So thank you for that. Any other questions or comments on the letter? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second on the floor. If we can do a roll call vote.
Ms. Lyle,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Ms. Pavley, Mr. Veras.
Yes.
That carries.
Okay. For items 11C and 11D, I do have a note here on my agenda here that these items have been postponed to a later date. So we will move forward on to item 11E. And this is a consideration of a resolution authorizing a grant to the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority for wildlife resilience improvements. Can I ask if there's a staff presentation or comments?
Mr. Chairman and members, this is a grant to the MRCA to fund projects that are ongoing, that were already established through the Wildfire Early Action Wildfire Resilience Grant. They've been very successful. We'd like to continue with them. So you can see there's projects for ignition prevention, arson watch, structure hardening, continuing the very successful oak tree biodiversity ember catching project that has been established along the 101 corridor in Calabasas and Agora Hills, and workforce development. So if you have any specific questions, be happy to answer them.
Okay, Advisory Committee.
Chairman, I'm just going to say, I'm frequently astounded at the ability of people to visualize what we're doing. And one of the great visualizations actually came from a fire person saying, what you've got there in those oak trees is an ember mitt. Okay, an ember catching mitt. I like that.
I like that too.
I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, on Advisory Committee, Julie, we have a comment here at the River Center. Ms. Brown?
Yes, this is Caroline Brown, and I'd like to observe on the oak tree issue again as well. Eaton Canyon Nature Center, the one from the 1920s and 30s, burned up during the Kenaloa fire of 1993. It was rebuilt, and the entire oak woodland scorched somewhat, but survived. 2025 January, the rebuilt Eaton Canyon Nature Center burned again to the ground. The oak woodland, not nearly scorched as much as you would have expected, survived. Out there somewhere, there's a YouTube video of a Forest Service ranger sitting inside the front porch area watching a oncoming fire, and the entire fire blew over the oak woodland and the ranger cabin, because the oak trees planted in such a density as these, what we call oak woodlands, act as an airfoil. And as Joe just referred to them as ember catching mitts, they actually don't catch, they just let them blow over, act as an airfoil. So we really must do a lot to replace the oak trees that were taken down over the years by planting houses in their place. Thank you.
You're here.
Okay, back to you, Julie.
Regarding 11E, do we have any other comments or questions? None? Then may I ask for a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second, Micah.
Thank you. James, can you remember the roll call, please?
Ms. Acker, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cacciati,
Yes.
Mr. Corridori,
Yes.
Mr. Dennert,
Yes.
Ms. Dransfeld,
Yes.
Ms. Fossen,
Yes.
Mr. Garan, James,
Yes.
Mr. Kraut,
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Ms. Michaels,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson,
Yes.
Ms. Rosen,
Yes.
Mr. Wendler,
Yes.
Ms. Newsom,
Yes.
that carries.
Okay, thank you. Conservancy members, we have 11E before us. Do I hear a motion in a second?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
I have one.
Okay.
I just noted in the staff recommendation as well as the resolution a reference to advance payments of up to 50%. And I just want the staff to confirm that that won't be happening all at the same time, given the language in Prop 4 specifically regarding advancement.
I'm sorry, Ms. Martin, you said, was that a question of?
I just want to confirm that by doing this, we're not suggesting that we can actually advance all 50% at the same time.
Right, not trying to suggest that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I had one question just for point of clarification.
I'm sorry, can I ask whoever's speaking to speak directly to the mic?
Yes, I had one question for point of clarification. This grant came in April of this year, correct?
The appropriation came in April, yes.
April of this year. And so could we say that it's uncovered for the future?
We have, or we're not, this is a
It's
big
bond
encumbrance.
money,
Yes,
which is
it's
good,
bond,
not
right.
general fund.
We got 31 point something
Yes,
million
300.
appropriated early, but we're not anticipating encumbering all of it in the next 2 months, but a good chunk of it.
Other than the usual people like the departments in Ventura and Lake County and a few cities, are other organizations eligible for applying grants? How do you do that?
Yes, not any nonprofit.
For wildfire related
Right,
resilience.
qualified nonprofit or any of the city, city of Locking Out of Flint Ridge is interested, city of Glen is interested. We coordinate future grants with the Regional Forest and Forestry Program that the Conservancy is part of. We just hosted 3 sub-regional meetings and had input from the Santa Monica Mountains proper, the Simi Hills, and the more Angeles and eastern end of our zone. And so a lot of different projects that were suggested, and we want to make sure that we're sort of getting a good roadmap for the most efficacious projects to fund out of Prop 4.
I have, as you can imagine, many questions relating to Prop 4 expenditures from the Blue Ribbon Commission point of view, because they're looking at options, and I just didn't know if this was an opportunity for community groups who maybe had legitimate foundations to explore.
Well, I just wanted to comment to say thank you for taking these early actions with the Assembly members' concern on some of the past approvals, just because it's like a process for some of those contracts that we approve. So we appreciate the actions that are being taken tonight. And the immediate, the one that I just as we approve these projects is getting our heads together and how do we communicate this back to our HOAs and our meetings that in this action. Often we hear back, oh, the public land agencies aren't doing anything for vegetation management. So, how do we educate them on how they're directly benefit from the Prop 4 funds we just received? That was just my one.
Very good point. We'll have to get our social media cranked up.
Can I follow up on that? I think it's really a great point because I think a lot of times people say like, all this prop money, where does it go? And why should I keep supporting it? And I think if we educate people on where it went, maybe the assembly member could put it out in her newsletter because she was a vote to support Prop 4, where this money went. And maybe we ask our other Santa Monica Mountains Zone representatives to do the same, where they can list out where this money went. And so that the communities I know that I'm on all of my representatives lists and I get their newsletters, which I read. And I think a lot of people do, especially now with the wildfire issues. So it would be great if we could put a list together and our elected representatives could get that out in their newsletters.
And our Conservancy was the #1 receiver of all the conservancies for funds from this last allocation. So, yeah.
As well, it should be.
Exactly.
And I'll just say this, Secretary Crowfoot is always looking to, okay, who's got the money out the door? And I get to say, Santa Monica, we have it on our agenda. So it is being tracked up here in Sacramento as well. And we're excited to highlight the quick work that you're doing, as well as the thoughtful work that we're doing of getting money out the door quickly, but also looking long-term to make sure we're not, that we're funding the best projects. So it is definitely looked at up here in Sacramento.
Great. And with that, let's make it official. Roll call vote, please.
Well, I think I have a comment.
Oh,
Along those lines, if there could be a press release that we can amplify, it would be really helpful. Because then we can post it to Facebook, we can post it to social media, because as we know from previous studies, nobody knows actually who we are or what we do. And this would be a great way for us, as those of us that are advisory members, we have, our tentacles in many different things. And this is a perfect opportunity for us to share the good works and something that everybody's interested in right now because of what is going on and all the recovery efforts. So I think it would be really timely. And then also there will be, and also the interest in getting the grants as well. So what we've done, who's gotten the money and what is, what is the window and, that kind of thing. I mean, I think it'd really be helpful because there's just a dearth of information about who we are out there.
And on that note, Supervisor Gorell already has a press release ready to go. It's probably hitting the airwaves right now for the grant to Ventura County Fire.
And Ms. Acker, I'm going to ask Jamie Cabral, who does social media for us, to call you tomorrow morning and get you, get a sound bite from you, and we'll put it out on social media. How about that?
Fine.
Good.
And please copy us on the Ventura press release, because even though we're Los Angeles, we still want people to know where that money's going, because it's all one ecosystem.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Ms. Lyle,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Ms. Pavley,
Yes.
Mr. Veras,
Yes.
that carries.
Okay, next, we have item 11F. It's a consideration of a resolution authorizing a grant of Prop 4 funds to the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority for the Upper Los Angeles River and Tributaries Revitalization Implementation Program in Los Angeles County. Can you get a staff presentation or comment?
That'll be Mr. Baldock.
Good evening, board. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. My name is Brian Baldoff. I'm a Deputy Executive Officer at the MRCA, and I'm pleased to present this this grant proposal to y'all. So I want to sort of step back to 2020 when the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy approved and adopted the Upper Los Angeles and River Tributaries Revitalization Plan. We call it ULART. And that plan had founding legislation that required that the Conservancy put together a watershed plan using nature-based solutions, thinking about projects that were integrated in a way that formerly so many different tributaries have been thought one at a time. This was a watershed plan that thought about all of the Upper LA River watershed together. On top of that, it prioritized that we look in disadvantaged communities. And so that the process to develop the plan took about 20 months and involved hundreds and hundreds of community members that took place in our engagement events and our working group. And it was a really tremendous success. Since that time, there have been general funds that were given to the Conservancy. They were appropriated for implementing the ULART plan. And the ULART plan actually identified 344 opportunity sites. And so over the last 5 years, the Conservancy has funded 18 ULART projects. Some of them are planning, some of them have been shovel-ready projects. And through a grant for implementing projects, the MRCA has helped to shepherd the ULART plan to be to progress. So recently, the MRCA's ULART implementation funding ended as a general fund. And so now we're coming back to continue doing that work. And as we had so many projects that have been moving forward, the MRCA helps support the Conservancy through both running working group meetings. We act as board secretary. We put together the agendas and manage the meetings. We have a Upper LA River website that has information about the ULART plan and the projects going on. And in turn, we also work with stakeholders and help to coordinate across the watershed. So this funding application to Proposition $4 is seeking to utilize the watershed improvements that were named within the bond and to further that work. And so we just hope to continue the plan that's already in existence. We're not trying to do anything new. We would just want to continue and further implement these projects. So we're calling this project the ULART Implementation Program. And I can be available for questions.
Advisory committee.
Question here.
Mr. Cacciatti.
Cacciatti from South Pasadena. Thanks. I was looking at all the projects identified in the plan. Thank you. 344 were a lot. A lot come along the Arroyo, which is a tributary, through Northeast LA, South Pasadena, Pasadena, La Cañada. And I was kind of remotely aware of this, but didn't have time to participate. But I noticed there's several projects along Northeast LA, the Arroyo, which is a very important tributary. And if I notice in your application, not only talks about the portfolio, but to further identify and develop a wide range of potential projects and proponents. So if I have potential projects, I have a couple in mind at Nature Park. The Conservancy was instrumental in preserving back in 2004 on the border of Los Angeles and South Pasadena. Who would I contact to help develop a potential project?
You can talk to me. I'd be happy to talk with you. And the way that the ULART plan was written was that we knew that some things would get implemented and we knew that some things might eventually become untenable. And so it was actually written with a series of goals that new projects could then seek to come under. And so then they would also be eligible as long as they're sort of meeting the criteria and the hallmarks that were set within the ULART plan. So it wasn't meant to be like a once and done. And so new projects, as they come on, and if they do really meet the goals and aspirations, then they very much should be considered.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Julie, on your side?
Yes. And to Mr. Ball, present comments on 11. None? May I ask for a?
Move approval. Caciotti?
Was that a yes?
Yes.
And
I think Mr. Garand had a second.
Yes.
James?
Ms. Acker,
Yes.
Sanders, Ms. Brown,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Caciotti,
Yes.
Mr. Cordero, Danner,
Yes.
Ms. Dransfeld, Ms. Fossen,
Yes.
Mr. Garand, Ms. James, Mr. Kraut,
Yeah.
Mr. Lang, Ms. Micos,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson,
Yes.
Ms. Rosen,
Yes.
Mr. Wendler,
Yes.
Ms. Newsom,
Yes.
the item carries.
Thank you, Advisory Committee. Conservancy, we have item 11F before us. Do I hear a motion and second?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this item?
I have one.
Okay, Amanda, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Watershed improvement is definitely an eligible use on Prop 4 of this section. It's been a while since I really engaged in the ULART review, but I was on the board way back when. I'm curious if there are specific projects or ideas, or will this funding in any way be focused a little bit on, a connection with wildfire as relates to watershed improvement? I only ask because it is in the sort of wildfire section of the bond, although, we all know that fires impact our watershed. So I'm just wondering if there's a particular focus with this fund, or is it more just the general watershed improvement, which, as I said, I agree is an eligible use of this.
I think for my take is that we really very much want to continue with the sort of existing effort of the watershed improvements. However, every project that I'm working on now post the fires of 2025, I realize that we're looking at them with a new lens. And so I don't think that it's I think that it's appropriate that we do start to also consider, within these projects that, were already spelled out in the ULART plan, like thinking about things that I don't think the wildfire was probably written down 15 times in the 300 pages of the ULART plan. So it's something that had we published it this year, it would be very different. And so I think that is something that we will be looking at as we're working on new projects and extending the ones that are already in the works.
Thank you. I appreciate that answer very much.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, see none, roll call, please.
Ms. Lyle,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Ms. Pavley, Mr. Veras,
Yes.
that carries.
Okay, next we have item 11G, it's consideration of a resolution authorizing a grant of Prop 4 funds to the Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority for the Climate Resilience and Disaster Preparedness Project Planning and Design. Staff report.
Good evening, Chairperson. I believe I'll be providing context for this item, if it's okay with our. That's perfect. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. My name is Sophia Leman. I am the Chief of Park Development with the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. And the grant proposal before you for the mouthful of a title, the Climate Resilience and Disaster Preparedness Project Planning and Design Project, really at an essence seeks to build capacity within our planning team to be able to fortify and build upon existing information and planning documents that we've been able to devise in the last couple of years, but haven't been able to lift off the ground specific projects. Most specifically, MRCA's hazard mitigation plan that was put in place back in 2022 formally, but it came out of the Woolsey fire disaster where FEMA opens up additional funding to be able to have local agencies identify hazards within their facilities and also be able to then build upon resilience and mitigations to be able to minimize impacts from future impacts. It could be just debris, flow mitigation, wildfire, and things like that. So this is a small but very mighty grant that would help MRCA start the process of identifying projects and be able to prioritize them in terms of benefit towards the community and their local jurisdictions. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions here at the River Center? No? Julie, over at King Gillette.
Yes, Advisory Committee here regarding the staff report for 11G. Are there any comments or questions? If none, may I ask for a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. James, can you call the roll?
Ms. Acker,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson, Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cacciati,
Yes.
Mr. Corridori,
Yes.
Mr. Dennert,
Yes.
Ms. Dransfeld,
Yes.
Ms. Fossen,
Yes.
Mr. Garand,
Yes.
Ms. James, Mr. Kraut,
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Ms. Mikos,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson,
Yes.
Ms. Rosen, Mr. Wendler,
Yes.
Ms. Newsom,
Yes.
that carries.
Thank you. Next, Conservancy members, 11G is before us. Do I hear a motion and a second in this item?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mr. Is there a second?
I'd be glad to. I'll second it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move with the roll call vote.
Ms. Lyle,
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Ms. Pavley,
Yes.
Mr. Veras,
Yes.
that carries.
Okay, we're now, since we've already approved measure or 11H, we'll move to our final item, which is 11I. Consideration of a resolution authorizing grant of Prop 4 funds to the Consolidated Fire Protection District of Los Angeles County for early implementation of wildfire prevention programs. Is there a staff report?
Yes, Mr. Chair and members. So this is been in progress for a little while. This is a $2.2 million grant to Los Angeles County Fire Department. They have 6 projects that they had already outlined, and they're all good projects. You can see on your list, Summit to Summit Motorway, Dirt Mulholland and Santa Maria Road, Crummer Canyon, which is the entrance to Upper Las Virgenes Canyon Open Space Preserve, Henry Ridge, Puerco Ridge, Puerco Motorway, and Big Rock in Malibu. So it's a little bit different because LA County Fire folks that we work with all the time love the idea, but they had to get permission from the chief. Chief has finally given permission for this grant to go through, but with the caveat that the MRCA would have to be the lead agency and LA County Fire will be the implementing agency. MRCA board did approve allowing the projects on MRCA property and will indeed facilitate this if the grant goes through. I think it's a new day. A lot of these are projects that we have not done before, because we typically wanted to only do the defensible space, but this does create a real network of fire mitigation north to south.
Thank you. Advisory committee members here at the River Center, any questions or comments? No, back to Julie.
Yes, Advisory Center Committee here regarding 11I or staff report. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, may I please have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you.
Acker.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. James, can you administer the roll call vote, please?
Ms. Acker,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cacciati,
Yes.
Mr. Corridori,
Yes.
Mr. Dennert,
Yes.
Mr. Ansfeld,
Yes.
Ms. Fossen,
Yes.
Mr. Garand,
Yes.
Ms. James,
Yes.
Mr. Kraut,
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Ms. Mikos,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson,
Yes.
Ms. Rosen,
Yes.
Mr. Wendler,
Yes.
Ms. Newsom,
Yes.
that carries.
Okay, thank you. Conservancy members, it's 11I. Do I hear a motion in a second?
I'll move approval of this item.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Got a motion in a second. I didn't get who was the motioner at
Fran,
Gillette. Fran, thank you. And Mr. Ortega is the second. Questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
I just wanted to say, once again, thank you for acting on the program. I just wanted to say that part of the.
Mike, please.
Oh, there we go. Part of the urgency of getting this through AB 100 was the wildfire portion of Prop 4 funds. So I know that there was some comments last time around about land acquisition being used from the Prop 4 funds. And so I just appreciate that we have stayed on target in wildfire prevention program. So just appreciate the actions taken tonight.
Okay, thank you for
We're
that.
not forgetting about land acquisition, though.
Yeah, and I would just
Don't
like,
worry.
I would just like to comment that sometimes land acquisition are buffers in wildfire areas, like Paradise has actually used that as a strategy. So I think we should really think about acquisition as wildfire buffers as well.
Okay, great. So noted. So there's a portion of the money going out very quickly. Amanda, if you could report that back immediately, we'd appreciate that. And then we can get on with the rest of Prop 4.
Email's already drafted.
All right, love it. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Lyle,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Ms. Pavley,
Yes.
Mr. Veras,
Yes.
that carries.
All right, wonderful. There is no closed session scheduled. And our next meeting will be June 16th. And if there's no objections, we'll stand adjourned.
Thank you.
And I just want to make a shout out that Sunday is the Topanga Banjo and Fiddle Contest here at King Gillette. So I think it's the 65th anniversary of it, and my parents were part of the founding group. So
Aww.
Good to see
Thank you.